Hi there, so I hope you enjoyed the last session. This time I want to talk more about the landmarks from the back view, and then I'm going to also demonstrate you a figure drawing from the same view. And then, so if you're ready, let's get started. As you can see here, I drew a skeleton in a really simple way, just for explaining to you all the landmarks that we have, the necessary landmarks that you have to know from in the back view, like seventh cervical vertebra, and then we have scapula on this part. This is scapula. Then the other important part that we have on pelvis is posterior superior iliac spine, and then at the end sacrum. And like the front view, we have greater trochanter, right? So that's almost all that you need to learn from the landmarks in the back view. So if you're ready, now let's see how we can add more shapes and how we can add all these landmarks in a back view drawing. Okay, here I want to show you how we can first draw the gesture in the back view, and then how we can add all the shapes and all the process that I explained to you last session. So let's hear all the movements. This is the weight bearing leg. Look at the curves I'm using. And then notice there is no straight line in my drawings because they ruin somehow the movement and vivacity, let's say, in our drawings. Here we have the arm, the movement of the arm, and this part. And then I see a lot of students use just one single line for drawing, for example, leg. If they want to draw the same thing, they will just use a singular line in this way. They draw like this. You know, all these things, they won't create any movement in your drawings, and because first of all they are straight, though I used curves here, but whenever you just a single line, it won't create anything, any movement. As you add another line here, then it's going to vibrate the movement, you know, of the other line, so it will create this movement inside the form. So that's what happens here. As you can see, look. Then you're going to add all these and create all these movements inside your drawing. That's what's more important. So we are creating and we are working from inside toward outside, and we are not focusing on contour lines. For example, I'm not drawing in this way because I'm trying to understand what's going on inside the model. What are the movements that are involved there? So let's just continue. So let's ask ourselves, what are the important parts that we have to add after drawing gesture? They are head, rib cage. You see, I'm adding an ellipse for that, and then pelvis. We have these three parts, and now I can add landmarks: seventh cervical vertebra, spine, posterior superior iliac spine right here, iliac crest, and sacrum. And on rib cage we have scapula, which has a form like this, and then on the other part it's going upward. And remember that scapula connects to clavicle, and then they will create the shoulder joint like this. Now I'm trying to add more shapes and I'm trying to combine them together. like that. Okay, and here the direction of the lower arm changes in this way, so you can see how I'm moving the pencil. It's like drawing a wrapping line. On this part I was moving my pencil like this, but as the form changes, I'm changing the direction of my mark making too, in order to create movement in my drawing. And then I'm also darkening the parts that are important, like landmarks. Okay, here I'm trying to finish my drawing and move on and work on other parts like leg. You can see I'm adding more lines and I'm adding more diversity of line here. Then you can see the forms, the curves are not symmetrical, so that they will create a zigzag movement in my drawing. So as you will draw and draw more, you will remember and memorize all these forms and curves, and then you won't have any problem with that. Here's the other one. So this leg is closer to us, so I'm making it somehow darker. And also, in order to show the weight of the leg, you see I'm also creating and darkening this line. I can do the same here on this part. And then you see how it gives more variety in your drawing. And then if you don't use these things, if you don't use economy of line or diversity of line, your drawing will get monotonous, and then you're going to lose the harmony. Now I just have to try to connect all these parts, like head, ribcage, and pelvis. So we have midsection right here. Now let me show you the important directions that we have. For example, for pelvis, and we have the opposite direction for ribcage, like this. So it goes up, the pelvis goes downward, and then we have the neck that will connect to the shoulder joint, like this. We have an overlap on this part. Here's again the scapula. That's why we learn landmarks. They will guide us through the shapes and forms, and then you will understand better all the important, let's say, volumes, perspective, or the shapes that you have to add on your drawing. And now I'm adding more wrapping line to show this change that we have in the direction of ribcage and pelvis, and that's because of the movement of spine itself, because spine, as you know, has 3 different parts: cervical part, thoracic part, and lumbar part. Right here. So the movement will change, and the direction of ribcage and pelvis will change, also the head. And now I'm adding darkness to these lines to make them more closer. So I think that's enough for this drawing. I almost added overlaps, landmarks, and then wrapping lines to show the depth and the space in this drawing. So I hope you enjoyed this session. I talked about structure in the back view, and in the next week I'm gonna talk about the volumes and how to add cubes for ribcage and pelvis. So I'll see you in the next week. Thank you so much.